So Vernon, we spent a bunch of time at Kona HQ earlier this year, and we both spent some time on the bikes. Coming into the Bible, I thought I was already going to vote the Process 134 as the bike of the year. Like, I think it's a standout bike. I came into the Bible and we've rode 35 other bikes.
Yep.
I still stand by that.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah. That is a very bold statement.
But
wow.
you know what though? The bike is top 3 for me. And it's top 3 for the weirdest reasons, because typically if we're talking about bikes, we're talking about amazing suspension designs, a really great component spec and all that, and the bike is certainly no dog. And the suspension design is noteworthy, we have to talk about that, but the thing that gets me is geometry. And I know that sounds stupid because every bike literally has geometry, so how can this matter? But the fit is so dialed, and on technical trails it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I mean it's got a longer front center than a lot of bikes. It's very short at the rear, a little bit lower, low standover, so it keeps the weight low, and they're built around a short stem. These are the kind of things where some people might look at this and say, oh, that's obviously a downhill bike. That's a free ride bike, that's for Pacific Northwesters, but no. It's this kind of geometry that's going to take, I believe, someone who's middle-aged, who maybe hasn't got the greatest skills, and going to give them a confidence on the trail, because it's giving them stability up front and a capability at the rear as well.
It's funny that you say like that the bike could give people a new set of skills or confidence, because I cleaned things on this bike that I couldn't clean on any other bike. And the whole time I was thinking, my God, this bike is like a mini Kona Entourage, right? It's like a mini DH bike. And it shouldn't be so good in settings that you think would like it have to be a trail bike or a cross-country bike. And the bike just killed it on everything. It just gets you in the right position to tackle technical terrain. It's awesome.
It's just simple like sizing and spacing. And they've really thought about it, what really works for the off-road. We've been stuck in this whole idea about road bike geometry for a very long time. Long stems, having these like short front ends and long rear ends, because we think the stability must come from the rear end. It's not. Then Kona have thought about it. They started from scratch, and they've done, I think, just a phenomenal bike. And if there aren't more companies out there, I'm sorry for Kona, but if there aren't more companies looking at this bike and ripping off the numbers,
they're crazy.
They're crazy.
Everything you guys say is exactly how I feel about this. In fact, I feel so strongly about how they absolutely got the fit spot on, the geometry spot on. It's brilliant. I think we should toast Kona right now with one of these.
Okay. Oh, Jesus, I'm in like some kind of horrible movie.
Because, bloody hell, they really got this right, didn't they?
They did. But is there something that they didn't get right with the bike? Because we don't want to, obviously we're not paid by Kona, right?
No.
So what didn't they get right? We did have a wheel failure.
Okay, they didn't make the wheel.
They didn't make the wheel. No, they spec'd it. It's a good wheel. What blew me away was a Shimano hub.
Yes.
Like one of the most reliable hubs out there. And it crapped the bed. So we had Bone Trogger carbon wheels. That's what I rode, which might have given me a little bit, maybe a more positive impression, truthfully, than I should have. It's a super light wheel.
It did make a difference. I rode it pre-hub explosion and afterwards with the new wheels. And the thing about this bike actually is it wears its weight really well.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not the most svelte bike out there, but when you're pedaling it, you don't really notice it. And so in before and after, I thought, well, it's going to be a big difference, but it still was so competent before, and then a small little upgrade afterwards. It's one of those bikes where, yeah, it's a bit portlier. I wouldn't even call it portly, right? What is it, 32 and a half pounds in that range, right?
God, I would not even guessed it.
No.
Which goes to what you're saying.
Yeah, it feels a lot lighter than
Exactly.
that. A lot lighter.
And you say it wears it well, and you're absolutely right. The weight's all super low, which felt awesome. Those downhill switchbacks.
Awesome.
Felt like that thing was so planted.
And climbing as well. I mean, we keep talking about it climbs so incredibly well. I cleared section on this bike that I've not cleaned on any other bike. Nothing. No 29er, no cross-country bike.
Right.
It went straight up. So.
Yeah.
I wasn't absolutely crazy about the RockShox Spark Plus rear shock.
Yeah.
I didn't think I flat out didn't think the rear suspension worked as well as some of the other bikes in the test. I would love to try the bike with something like a Fox Float X, which is the shock that's blown my mind out of this entire Bible. I would love to see that, but despite that, I mean, I walked away thinking, even though I wasn't in love with the suspension, I loved the bike. It was the whole package is so good that it made up for it.
And what we've got on the Kona, it's just a very simple system. They just said, we're not going to make any crazy suspension curves.
Yeah, they want to sit high in its travel. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things they've done there as well. Price-wise, here we are.
We had the DL, the top spec model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3,600 quid.
Now we've been looking at a lot of bikes and we've been saying, oh, that's pretty reasonable, you know, the 5-6 grand range, and still saying like, it's a lot of money, but that's kind of like the prices of bikes have really crept up. Kona have somehow kept a reasonable bike. 3.6 isn't breaking the bank for some people, but it's not going astronomical like some other brands have gone.
It leaves some room for upgrades if you fancied it as well. The way it came, right? So at 3,600, yeah, you have a mid-level parts spec on this bike.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say, it's 3,600, and this bike outrode bikes of twice or 3 times the amount of the money.
Right. Well, it's proof that the amount of money you spend on a bike isn't the indicator of how good it's going to be, and how much the bike weighs, again, is not an indicator. This bike is just fun, and that's all that really matters.
It looks shit hot too. I love it.